This is video 57, and again I don't have information to share on some specific topic, like I said, the crimes or medicine or some science stuff, because again I spent my evening on writing some poems in English. At some point, at some moment of the day, I just have the inspiration. First, I recall some poem in Russian that I liked and I still like it. And then I just got some rhymes, some lines for this poem in English. And usually these rhymes are really perfect. They conveys the message of the original Russian poem. Yeah, and they're just perfect in English. And then I just try to find the rest of the rhymes that will be that will go in the rhythm with the rhymes that, well, I kind of get from the heaven. Yeah, and this process of completing the verse of the poem can take lots of time, because I try different variations so that the endings, the rhymes in the endings were as not perfect, but as good as possible. And then I want to keep the rhythm of the line from the original poem, because sometimes in the poems we have, let's say, 8 syllables in each line, or sometimes we have different rhythm, like 9-8, 9-8. So, for example, when I translated Гумилев's «Однообразные мелькают», where he has 9 syllables, 8, 9, and 8, I couldn't find a good translation for the images he used for nightingales and roses, especially for nightingales, so that I have this 9 syllables rhythm. So all my translation goes with 8 syllables in each line. But because I'm quite satisfied with the end result, with the finished result of the poem, I can live with this different rhythm than in the original poem. Again, what? So yeah, usually I have this first line inspiration for some strong line, and it is really perfect, and then I just try to find something, and in the worst cases I spend days for trying to find the best line, because sometimes the rhythm is good and the rhyme is perfect, but the sense of the line goes out of the whole composition. Yeah. So this process really takes lots of time, and I usually try not to spend this much time, because then I can't do my English and other stuff. Yeah, but sometimes I just have the inspiration of the perfect first line, and I have to find the I have to create the whole verse around this rhyme, because I like this rhyme in Russian very much, and usually when I do the translation into English, I like it even more, because the translation is quite perfect, as perfect as I can do, and it is in English. And as Sheldon said, everything is better with Bluetooth. So everything is better with English. Everything is better in English. Next. So today again will be the improvisation on some talking stuff. And yesterday I didn't have time to talk about every stuff that I prepared for yesterday, so I continue about this. And maybe the first one I wanted to talk is just the idea about the learning English, or maybe the every skill that we have. So it's especially obvious with English, at least it was obvious for me, that when I learned English for 10 years, I spent all this time on two types of English, like reading some maybe popular science articles or books in programming and other stuff, and of course reading fiction books, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all this Twilight, all this stuff. Yeah, and the second part was about listening to, again, audiobooks, anime, movies, some learning videos, study videos. What is the right word for this? So videos, courses where the teachers give you some information, like on impressionists, on history, on programming, on everything. Of course, the seminars by Tracy. Yeah. So at some point, maybe 5 years later, I understand that I stopped really progressing in English the way I started. Yeah, when I checked words in the dictionary, I tried to learn them, the translation in Russian, so that I understood the idea of the word, not just the shade of the word. Like when I see, because after 5, maybe 7 years, after 5 years of learning English, I just started kind of feel the words in the texts, in the audio, and I just got the feeling of what is the shade of this word. Like, this is an adjective that means something positive about the person. This means something negative about the person, but I never translated them into Russian to understand the kind of exact meaning of this word, to get the deep understanding of the particular words, because at this moment I thought that to move forward I needed to start learning speaking English. But because I didn't have the opportunity to do this stuff, I just continued to be in this English listening and reading environment without really going deep into the words, into the meanings. And right now, as I practice my speaking English since February, it's almost half a year. Yeah, I started to go back to improve, to enrich my levels of reading and listening. I started to get these new words to because I want because my criteria of understanding English is to take the Russian text and retell it in English with the where I can rephrase some maybe idioms, some permanent phrases, but I need to translate the basis, the foundation of the text. Like, as I said, with this criminal stuff, if I will take some description of the game, or some events about the events inside the courtroom, I will meet the words like attorney, prosecutor, and other defendant and other stuff. And at my current level, I can understand that something is this, something is that. But the same text in Russian will be very hard for me to translate, because I know the word prosecutor and I know the word maybe procureur, but I don't know right now that these words are the same, just they are in different languages. So yeah, this is my current goal, is to I have the advantage of knowing lots of English words, the way they are pronounced, the way they are written. It's not that I need to learn something new, like from German, for example, and where I need to create this mnemonics rules just to remember the pronunciation of the word in my head. I have all these words, but they are passive, and now I need to create this active connections from the Russian words into English words in my passive vocabulary. And when I have this connection established, this link, then I imagine that this particular word, like prosecutor or attorney, maybe I should at some point watch animes about Ace Attorney. Anyway, at this moment when the link is established, I feel like the word that was dimmed in the whole picture of my vocabulary, it lights up. Yeah, and the more words is lit up, the more ideas I can express with the concise, in the concise way, without going around giving this definitions, searching for the synonyms, which can't be very expressive at times. Like, for example, you can say mother, and then you can express something like the woman that gave birth to me, but you can just learn the word mother and use it, and everyone will understand what you mean. And sometimes, or maybe for most of the times, I can't give the right definition for the word, so it's easier to learn the term and use it, because everyone will understand what I want to say, than trying to give the definition that I don't know, and I will just create problems for the person. For example, I can say the current, like something, maybe the current doesn't work. You switch on the light in the room, but the light bulb still stays off, and then you can say, like in the game Quest, maybe the current does not flow through the bulb, and there are several possibilities why the current may not flow. Like, maybe the wire inside the bulb is destroyed. Yeah, it's for the old style bulbs. Then you need to change the bulb, or maybe somewhere around the wire, somewhere where this wire, not inside the walls, but somewhere where this wire goes with I don't know, this electrical stuff, like, well, this is an interesting word. For example, fuse maybe, where the another point in the, yeah, let's say there are three. Let's develop the logical thinking, critical thinking. So there is a closed circuit through which the current usually flows, and there are some points that are exposed to the I don't know, to the people to the people who live in the flat, where this circuit can be broken. Like when you turn off the switch, then you broke the hollowness of the circuit. Or when you take off the bulb, or something about the place where the fuses are set to prevent the short circuit, in your flat. Like, when there is a short circuit, then this fuses kind of goes off, or go off, or die out, and then you need to find the place where this short circuit appeared and replace it, and put another fuse, and everything will be okay. Yeah, this is the Well, this is an interesting stuff. It's about electricity and the occupation like electrician, but this basic knowledge is this basic knowledge must be learned by everyone who lives in these apartments, the way we learn to use the gas stove and to switch, turn off the gas, turn off these handles, and to check that there is no gas leaks and other stuff. Yeah, so it will be one of my future topics to check it together with the cooking and stuff. Okay, so or maybe this was, I just told the example of how someone can teach their children to live in the apartment, to know this basic knowledge about the electricity, to keep themselves safe, because everything could happen. It's better not to happen for it, but well, okay. Well, that's interesting. When I try to explain this stuff, I get some idioms in Russian that I think I know I heard in English, but I never created this connection, so I just don't know which one of these stuff that I possess in my mind, in my memory, is the right one. But when I get them during my speech, I have the chance to get them, to learn them, and then just light up within my memory. Anyway, as I said, the current is the basic word, and everyone understands what the current is. But when I tried to give the correct physical, the correct definition from physics of the current, I failed, because it's like again, it's not very deep in the textbooks to go deep enough. We need some university level knowledge about this, but we don't need. We just understand that the electricity, the current is some electricity that goes through the circuit from one point to another, and when this electricity goes through it's not the correct word, but the idea is quite clear. When the electricity goes through the light bulb just started to give the light. Yeah. And according to physics, the current is the movement of electrical charges from the point where with the higher potential to the point with the low potential in the closed circuit. And there is some stuff about that in reality only the electrons which is negative charges, or electrons moves in the conductor but yeah, that's an interesting thing. But according to agreement, we assume that the positive charges shows the direction of the current flow. Yeah, this is an interesting question. Electrons, check electrons. Is here. So when I was in the 8th grade, or maybe 9th grade, when we studied this electricity, I had this question, but I never answered it to myself, and I just forgot about it because I never needed the situation where I could use it, to recall it and to understand it. So the question was the following. So the wire is the conductor, which is usually the metal, and the movement of the current is the movement of the electrons. And in the metal, electrons move freely through this some metallic grid within the molecule structure or something. My question was, so let's say the electrons move from when we put the battery in the small circuit with the wires and the bulb. So electrons should move through the wire, then let's say electron A. It moves through the wire, then through the bulb, then back through the wire, and then through the whole battery. This way we have this wow. Okay, this way we have this amount of electrons preserved. Yeah, it's like they go all the way through the closed circuit. It's kind of strange. Maybe this is the right description, but maybe it's wrong. Maybe electrons does not move all the way through the circuit, because this way some electrons can travel kilometers through the wire outside of the houses, like through the wires in the streets. I don't know, I should check this, but the question is quite interesting for me. Again, as I said, and I return back to where I started, that right now I need to lit up some of the words that I have. I know them, I never used them, and I don't know the translation, the meaning, but I know the form, the pronunciation and other stuff. Okay, so what? When I started to learn speaking English and then writing English by writing down my thoughts the way I record them on the video, I can write down some of my thoughts in the notepad, in my notebook, yeah, the paper notebook. And this way I practice my writing skills. It's basically the same as my speaking skills, because I use the same words, the same constructions, but well, I just write, and I can say that I have this writing skill as well as I have my speaking skill. So right now I have this analogy for learning English in passive way, reading and listening to, and in active way, writing and of course speaking. And the main idea behind the active way is to think in English. Think. Because without thinking, writing may exist, but it will be more like translating separate individual words or phrases into English from Russian. But when you think in English, you, as I said before, I read the whole Russian sentence. Russian sentence, then idea, then English. Yeah. So I spent half a year trying to develop my English, my speaking skill, without really speaking to the tutor, to anyone in English. I took this Schoolter book where she gave quite simple sentences in Russian and their exact English translation. So I could just I could just cover the Russian translations, English translations, yeah, and then read the Russian sentences, try to translate them into English and check each sentence with the English translation, and I couldn't move forward with this technique because right here, right there, I used this, word to word or phrase to phrase translation, like, tra-ta-ta-ta-ta, like, and then the translation was the boy stood something, blah, 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 did something somewhere at some point of time. Yeah. Okay, let's say the boy performed some action somewhere in the lake in the afternoon, yeah? Yeah. Well, this way I learned the grammar, some grammar. I refreshed it in my mind, and I learned some basic words, the correspondence of the words. Yeah, I wish I had the same parallel texts in crime and economics, because it will be easier for me to get the correspondence between two words without going into dictionary all the time. Anyway, I got something from this, but when I started to speak English and then I started to think in English, now I can easily do this process. I read the Russian sentence, I got the idea from it, and I completely forgot what words were used to express this idea in Russian. So really I can't even say these words repeat this Russian sentence with Russian words, because I just know the idea, and if I describe this idea in Russian, the sentence will be absolutely different, but the idea will be the same. So when I have this idea, it's like I have this idea on my own. I'm not working with the words. I work with the idea, and then I usually have some structure, some sentence that expresses this idea in English. And somehow I have this sentence that sounds quite natural for me, after listening all this stuff with Big Bang Theory, animes, and so on. And when I check this sentence with the corresponding translation of the Russian sentence, they are two completely different sentences. Yeah, sometimes it's cool to check the corresponding translation and to find some particular words from the original Russian sentence. As I said, this is the way to quickly learn the vocabulary. Yeah, but to think in English, I need to start with the idea. So yeah, right now I go with the idea. And sometimes, just for example, I try to translate the sentence according to the structure of the words in Russian, like taking the basic words, translate them in English, and use them to create the correct English sentence. Yeah, I can do this, and it's difficult for me because this particular structure is not natural for the way my brain thinks. Yeah, so thinking in English is absolutely different stuff than just translating from Russian into English. Okay. So what I wanted to say about all this stuff. To practice thinking in English, I need the pure idea, and then I try to retell it with all the words that I know in English. And sometimes when I want to express something for which I don't have the vocabulary, I use the synonyms or the definitions, like trying to describe the situation, where this particular word can be used. This way, I really practice my thinking. But to improve the tools, to improve the means of expressing my ideas, I need to learn additional words, to understand the meanings, so that I can put them in the right places where I want to describe some particular situation. So about starting to speak English, my feeling was the following. I have some particular capacity, some container that can keep English words or grammar structures in active state without practice. Like, I need to recall myself I need to recall all the time what particular words mean, because when I don't use them, they doesn't go into my practical skills, and I can only remember them by the willpower, by the strength of my memory. It's like the dictionary, when I need to check each word in the dictionary. So I felt that my capacity of this particular container, of this particular set of words, is quite limited, and I reached this limitation maybe 5 years after starting read and listen to English. So I just stopped make all this stuff active without practicing it. Yeah, and just I put everything in the passive, storage. And right now, as I started to speak and think in English and write in English, I take some of the active words from this container, and through the channel, it's like two vessels, one vessel, one container with the active words, maybe not active, well, active words learned theoretically, yeah, from the dictionary, and the other container, the active words that I use in practice. So all the time my practical container was empty, but right now many words moved through this channel to this practical container, and the space in the theoretical container appeared, and now I can add more theoretical words from this chord physics vocabulary into this theoretical container, and when I start to use them as well, they move through the channel into the practical container. I think that the practical container is limitless. So I don't need to bother about its capacity, but to add new words into my vocabulary, active vocabulary, I need to put them into the theoretical container first, and then move them through the channel into the practical container. Yeah. So now I am on my way. I moved quite a lot of words into the practical container, and now I can think with these words, talk with these words, write with these words. And I feel that my theoretical container is quite empty now, and I can add additional active words there. And I'm going to do it for at least for the next week and for the next month. And then in a month, I'll check what I've got, what new areas of knowledge I can express, I can cover with my practical active vocabulary. And then I will see what I can do next. So this was very interesting stuff. Theoretical, practical, and both of them are active vocabulary. You know, this is really interesting thought that appeared while I was describing the idea that I got from yesterday, but this idea was quite simple. Well, it wasn't quite simple, it was interesting, but it has no enough words. No, it was just quite, not shallow, quite concise. But when I started to describe it, I got additional details to this idea. It's like talking to myself, it's like talking to this yellow duck. When you describe the problem to someone, you solve this problem by yourself before you finish your description to this person. Well, concentrate English. Okay, I can use this short idea because I think I speak more than 40 minutes, so I will talk for the next 10 minutes maybe, and then I will wrap up the video. So the idea is about the concentration. There are two types of concentration. The first one, maybe the highest one, the supreme one, when you just turn off your thoughts, when you I don't know, you're aware, you are aware of yourself, but at the same time the thoughts in your mind are turned off, and you observe the kind of empty space that is usually filled with the thoughts. It's really cool, but it's hard to achieve, and I had only some small seconds where I felt this state only for seconds. Yeah, like seconds once a month, when I tried to practice meditation. Without trying to practice it, I never felt this before. And the second way, the second way of meditation is more simple. It's the concentrating on some particular stuff inside your mind, and because your mind can only think about one thought at a time, then all other thoughts go away because they could not get into the place that is already occupied. It's like when someone goes into the bathroom and closes the door behind himself or herself, then you can't get into the bathroom until this person leaves it. The same with this concentrating meditation. When you think about some particular thought, then no other thought can reach your mind. And usually I couldn't feel this way because my thoughts were not so deep. Then I just switched from one particular thought to another thought and then returned back to the main thought. And I just could say that I thought about different stuff at the same time, even though I thought about one particular thing. But after I started to write my poems, I had this experience when my mind thinks about the line that it wants to create, with some particular rhythm, some particular rhyme, and my mind really narrows, and all my attention goes into this particular line. And no other thoughts can reach my mind. Then when I discover this line, again, the space inside my mind becomes vacant, and other thoughts go there freely. So this is the thing, the experience about which scientists or other people said that when you concentrate on one particular thought, no other thought can reach your mind. Yeah, that's a really cool thing, and I experienced it only for brief moments, and like several times during all my life. I hope I will develop this experience on a regular basis, so that I could concentrate on some thoughts this way when I want, not just when I have this inspiration. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, and I think I need to write down this idea about concentration on one thought, It's like a rhyme or trace. Thought. Okay, I think that with this I can wrap up my current monologue, and this is it for the vlog 57, I think.